Hi guys, so this week we are going to be reading Pete the Cat. And our friend Pete the Cat is going to help us learn some of our colors, our shapes, and our numbers. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week. We're going to be reading a few of the Pete the Cat books, but we are going to be focusing on our colors, numbers, and our shapes. So our book for today is Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons. So look, I see a number, and our number is 4. So our book today, Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons, is going to be focusing on numbers and counting. So let's go ahead and read Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons. Uh-oh, guys, look. I think Pete is going to lose some of his buttons. Oh no. Pete the Cat put on his favorite shirt with 4 big, colorful, round, groovy buttons. He loved his buttons so much, he sang this song. So look, friends, do you see Pete's shirt? What is on Pete's shirt? Do you see these? What are those? Those are buttons. Good job. So let's count Pete's buttons. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. His 4 groovy buttons. And look, his buttons are a shape. His buttons are circles. Let's hear his song. My buttons, my 4 groovy buttons, my 4 groovy buttons. Pop! Oh no! One of Pete's buttons popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? So look, friends, one of his buttons popped off and rolled away. How many are left? Let's count. Get your pointer fingers out and count how many buttons are left on his shirt. 1, 2, 3. Nice counting. And look, that is the number 3. So he had 4 buttons and 1 popped off and rolled away. So now there are 3. Good job. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. My 3 groovy buttons. My 3 groovy buttons. Pop! Oh no! What happened, friends? You're right. Another button popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? Do you want to guess? How many buttons are left? Let's see. There are... Does anyone know what number that is? Let's see. I see Pete right over here. Let's count how many buttons are left on his shirt. So let's see if you are right about what number this is. Let's get your pointer fingers out and count. 1 and 2. If you said this was the number 2, then you're right. This is the number 2. So Pete has 2 buttons left because he had 3 and 1 popped off and rolled away. So he has 2 buttons left. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. My 2 groovy buttons. My 2 groovy buttons. Pop! Oh no! Another button popped off and rolled away. Friends, what color button popped off and rolled away? What color is that? It's green. Good job. And for my other friends, can you point to the green button? Good job pointing to the green button. How many buttons are left on Pete's shirt? Let's see. Oh, that. That's how many buttons are left. So let's zoom in and count how many buttons are left on Pete's shirt. Just one. So if you guessed that that was number one, you're right. That is the number one. So Pete had 2 buttons on his shirt. Then one popped off and rolled away. So he has 1 button left. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. He kept on singing his song. My button, my one groovy button. My button, my one groovy button. Oh no, pop! The last button on Pete's shirt popped off and rolled away. How many buttons are left? Look, his last button popped off and rolled away. Now he has 0. That number right there is 0. That means he has no buttons left. There are no buttons left on his shirt. Did Pete cry? Goodness, no. Buttons come and buttons go. Pete looked down at his buttonless shirt, and what do you think he saw? Oh, look! He saw his belly button. Can you find your belly button? Point to your belly button. There's Pete's belly button. He kept on singing his song. My button, still have my belly button. My button, still have my belly button. I guess it simply goes to show that stuff will come and stuff will go. But do we cry? Goodness, no. We keep on singing. Buttons come and buttons go. Good job counting along and finding out what numbers were what numbers. All right, friends, see you later, and make sure that you get on and you do your craft and you do your circle activity for today. See you later.